Folks, welcome to Vintage Baseball Reflections. I am Tom, the baseball nostalgia guy, bringing you these treasured pieces. Do you miss the good old days of listening to baseball through radios? It was a classic pastime that stood for decades and shaped how we cherish baseball and our heroes. These stories are from a moment in time that were heard by fans just like you. They are uncut, unfiltered, simply here for you to enjoy. So I just want you to enjoy this reflection on baseball history.
From Day to Durocher to Patkin, it's Double Play with Durocher and Day. With their guest, Max Patkin, here's another chapter of Double Play with Durocher and Day. Welcome to another visit with baseball's most exciting and controversial couple, Laraine Day and Leo Durocher, with their guest for today, Max Patkin. However, before we join Laraine and Leo, here's an important message. And now back to Double Play with Leo Durocher and Laraine Day and their guest, Max Patkin. However, before we join Leo and Laraine, we've asked a very famous West Coast baseball writer whose daily column appears in the Los Angeles Examiner to come into our studios and tell you listeners a little bit about the background of our special guest, Max Patkin. And he is the well-known sports writer, Bob Hunter. Bob, come on in.
Well, Frank, did you ever think Ichabod Crane would come to life?
You know, this is a very apt simile, too, between he and Ichabod Crane. Max Patkin.
Well, I can kid a little bit about Max, Frank, because I've known him a long time. He's a good friend of mine, and he does look like Ichabod Crane, and he takes great pride in putting on antics like we, as kids, would imagine Ichabod Crane to do. He's like a four-legged stork, I think. He's tall and skinny, and he's got an Adam's apple that bobs around. All you can see in his neck is sort of an Adam's apple, and he's... I say four-legged stork because he stands on his head almost as much as he does his feet, and he's got those big long arms and long legs, and he looks back between his legs and around under his arms, and seems like he's standing off balance, like you've seen those fellas on the stage do with those big long stilts on their feet, Frank. But he does it with just his baseball shoes on, and he's really a funny fella.
Bob, tell me a little bit about Max and how he got started in this particular profession.
Well, Max used to be a ball player, Frank. He wasn't a real good ball player, but he had a lot of what you call ham in him, I guess. He was the clown of the clubhouse, and as long as he couldn't be a good top ball player, he figured, well, I'm going to make money in this business some way, and so he became more and more of a clown. And I think it was really Bill Veeck that started him on his way up the ladder, so to speak, in this business. I think Max must make himself $30,000, $40,000 a year now touring around on different clubs.
Do you suppose the reason that Max got started in this was to amuse the fans, or was it to kind of disturb the opposing players?
Well, I think primarily it was to make some money for himself, but then after that it was, I think, to upset the opposing players. Bill hired him to go out in the coaching line and do all these funny things in dull ball games. Well, that was good enough, but Max would be out there doing them sometimes when they're playing the New York Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And of course, the Browns would be down in the cellar, the Yankees would be fighting for that pennant, but still Max would be out there doing these funny things. They weren't funny to the Yankees. One game, it cost Allie Reynolds a ball game. He started looking at Max, and he couldn't take his eye off of him, all those funny gyrations, which he really can do, twisting himself all around. And the fans were watching Max, too, and it upset Allie so much that he actually fell off the mound there once making a pitch.
Probably later on in the program, Max will explain about the midget that Bill Veeck ran into a game.
Bill, as you know, Frank has done a lot of things like that. He's called all sorts of names, the Barnum and Bailey of baseball, and I think he lives up to that name. You know, when he had the Cleveland club, I think it was 48 the year they won the pennant, why he said, we're going to win the pennant, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to hire a flagpole sitter to get up there on that flagpole and sit there until we do win the pennant. And I'm happy to say he hired a patient soul because he was up there almost 2 months, but they finally did. They finally won the pennant, Frank, in that year, as you'll remember.
Well, anybody who would put Max Patkin on his payroll certainly is a showman.
That's why he did it, and it's paid off because it not only draws when they're at home, but when the club was on the road, you know, they take Max along, and people would come out to see Max Patkin. They wouldn't come out to see sometimes the St. Louis Browns so much when they were down, or perhaps some other club, but they come out to see Max Patkin.
Well, he certainly is a fascinating person, and one that I know that our listeners are very anxious to meet. Thank you very much, Bob Hunter, West Coast sports writer whose daily column appears in the Los Angeles Examiner, for being our special guest today.
I'm glad to be here, Frank.
And now, fans, let's join our stars, Laraine Day and Leo Durocher, and their special guest for today, Max Patkin. And as we join them, it seems that Leo and Max have a little scheme cooked up to play on Laraine. Let's listen.
Hiya, fans. You know, I'm the manager of the New York Giants in name only. Laraine is really the manager. At least that's what she thinks. You know, there's a young ball player out here that asked me for a tryout. He thinks he's good enough to make the Giants and play in the major leagues. Well, now, you have to have an interview with a player like that, and, of course, there are just a lot of things that you must know
Now,
about.
Leo, since I'm going to interview this Mr. Brown, these are the things I'm going to look for. Seriousness of purpose, style, form, experience, disposition, and appearance.
What kind of an outfit is this you're wearing?
Leo, just because I tell you who to pitch is no reason that you can tell me what to wear. Leave styles out of this and bring Mr. Brown in. I'm all ready. We're going to do
You
this.
really ready for him?
Yes.
You want me to bring him in?
Yes, we're going to do this just in a business-like manner, the way it should be done when you interview a player.
Don't forget now, this is yours, and I want to see how smart you are.
Oh, yes, I have it all down
right,
here.
I'll
Now,
bring
let's
him in.
see. Height, weight, habits, hobbies,
All right, Max.
girlfriends.
Now, this is Mr. Brown.
How do you do?
This is Durocher.
How do you do, Mr. Brown? Won't you sit down?
I do.
Now, let's see, Mr. Brown. What position do you play?
All positions.
Well, which position do you excel in?
All positions.
Well, which position do you prefer?
All positions.
Look, do you pitch?
Do I pitch? Why, she says, do I pitch? Are you kidding?
Leo, this guy is great.
Oh, just
He's
a
just
minute.
sensational.
Just a minute.
Do you know he has
Wait a
so
minute.
much more
What?
than any
Wait a
other
minute.
pitch
Let me
I've ever
ask
seen.
you
If
just a
only he
minute.
could hit. Can you hit?
Can I hit? Now, you've heard of Joe DiMaggio.
I have a bat here that is just the thing. I got it now. He's got all of them.
All right, Leo. Go on. You can bring Mr. Patkin, too, now.
You mean to tell me you knew who this was all the time?
Of course. Everyone knows who Max Patkin of the St. Louis Browns is.
How do
Think I
you
was
like
born
that?
yesterday? Well, I have a letter here to do with you. It's from Mr. Del Reeby, who is a Yankee fan, and he seems to be very angry at you. Seems that you cost the Yankees a doubleheader. You upset Mr. Reynolds.
Well, I think that's a lie. I didn't upset Mr. Reynolds.
You didn't?
In order to answer this young lady, why don't you get up here and give us a demonstration, Max, of exactly what you did while Reynolds was pitching? Will you do that for us?
Well, I can give you an idea.
All right, give me an idea.
I don't see how this can affect any ball game. All I do is go out there real serious, looking very intelligent on the coaching line.
Now he's giving them the signs. He's taking the handkerchiefs out, giving them the signals.
Signs.
Hey, signaling. Now, there's the way he does the coaching.
Talking? Do you mean this is what you did against Mr. Reynolds?
Yeah.
Well, I don't blame Del Reeby for being a little annoyed. I think this is very unfair.
Why? Just a moment.
Tell me, don't you think that this is unfair for you to do that on the coaching line in a ball game?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it bothers anybody.
Are you kidding?
Well, wait a minute. Why is it unfair? After all, you start the ball game and you want to win, don't you? And if he's coaching for my club and he can distract the pitcher and make that pitcher wild or walk my hitters, I got a greater chance to win the ball game.
Well, yes, I know. I mean, you felt that way about Stanky in the
course.
Philadelphia game doing the...
I see where that's a great help to his own club.
Yes, but what do you think about it?
Well, my opinion is this. That when I'm out there coaching, I don't like to be out there actually on a real tight ball game for one reason. I know just what it feels like when the game's, say, going around the seventh inning and got a 3-2 pitch, and I'm going through some silly gyration.
You hope the guy makes it ball four, though, don't you, Max?
Yeah.
Of course. Now, look, let me ask you one question. Has anyone ever said to you when the ball game's over, how did you come out? What do you say? If you've won the ball game, they never ask you how.
They don't ask questions. Just ask who won.
That's right.
And that's all that counts.
I want players on my club and coaches that want to win, that come to play and to win the ball game. And if you can do that and disrupt the other club, you're the kind of guys I'd like to have working for me.
Well, they're going to have to change all the rules then. And I have another letter here, too, about the St. Louis Browns that maybe you can answer. I don't know. Dorothy Keller wants to know about the midget that was used
That's
with
it.
the St. Louis Browns.
Max, before you continue with the story, let's pause right here for an important announcement. And now back to Double Play with Durocher and Day and their guest, Max Patkin.
Well, Max, what about this midget? That must have been a funny bit when this little guy went up to the plate to hit.
Well, it was, Leo. In fact, everybody in the stands thought it was quite funny, too, when he came up and he was announced by the public address system as so-and-so batting, Gadel batting for so-and-so, and he went up to home plate. And you should have seen Kane out there. He didn't know what to do. He went into a fit almost.
Was he the pitcher for the
Yeah,
Detroit
Bob
club?
Kane
Yeah.
for Detroit. And Bob Kane got down, tried to be very precise with his pitching. He tried to, sort of thread the needle,
Yeah, well, how about the catcher for you?
Oh,
Who was that?
Bob
Was it-
Swift went very serious, and he was really down. He got down low.
That really must have been a funny
Yeah,
thing.
he had a crink in his neck when he got up. I wish you could have seen it. Then when Gadel crouched down in the corner of that batter's box,
Yeah.
and he actually
Naturally, he was scared to death, and he was in the very corner of the box, and he was giving that.
Of course, Kane couldn't get the ball over the plate.
No.
I mean, how
Well,
do you
did he
like
ever
it?
get a strike over?
Not a one. First 3 balls, boom, walked to start the inning. We had bases loaded, and we almost had a big inning, but funny thing, I think a double play took him right out of it. That was a funny bit.
We could have used a couple of more midgets at that spot.
I can think of some games when we could have used the midgets. But look, now honestly, do you really think that it's fair? I mean, the midget coming in, you coaching that way.
I think it's fair.
Well, wait a minute. I don't understand a question like that.
I'll say that he's no more distracting in his clowning as long as he gives the signals than Jackie Robinson is in his base running.
That's
I
right.
mean, that's certainly distracting the pitcher enough, isn't it? If it's fair to distract the pitcher that way, why did they make Stanky quit the semaphoring behind
Well, because
second base?
they just thought that he was
Distracting.
jumping up and down on the defense, and he had no business being behind there.
They could
And
say that about him, that he has no business
there
doing
is no
that.
rule in the book, dear, that says that Stanky couldn't do that.
But they made him stop.
They made a rule and said that he had to stop.
All right, what about the pitcher? Who was the pitcher that wore his sleeve in the long
Well, that was in the olden
spread?
days. That was Dazzy
Johnny
Vance.
Allen,
And they made him
He
Johnny
did?
Allen. They made those fellas stop.
Well, why?
Well, because
What's the difference?
there's a distraction for the hitter that they won't.
It's not fair to distract the hitter, but it's okay to distract the pitcher.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I say that you can't do things like that with part of your wearing apparel.
Well, what about, there was a pitcher, an old-time pitcher, too, who had a big silver buckle, and he would go through maneuvers just to get the buckle to shine right in
Yes, but that
his
was
eye.
going back 75 or 100 years ago, and that's
Just
too
when you
far
were
back.
breaking in.
Just when I was a youngster.
I see. Well, anyway, I think...
I meant to ask you, how did it feel about it against Alexander?
Oh, now, wait a minute. Come on, Max. I'm not that old.
Well, what about it? Have you got a giant uniform for Max?
I know one thing. You can call what Max just did here clowning, kidding around, but if it distracts the other club enough that if he's coaching for me and can make my club win, I know that I've got a uniform that'll fit him.
Then just why, excuse us, this is a sort of a little family argument.
Go ahead.
Did you, when we were in Miami and we were playing the Brooklyn Dodgers, that exhibition game,
yeah.
and I got mad at the umpire and jumped up and screamed and hollered in the box, everything I could think of, you made a very bad decision. Why did you come over and put your hands on your hips and say, will you shut up? I was distracting everybody in the stand.
For the simple reason that game meant nothing. It was an exhibition game.
Well, it still meant something to me.
It meant something to you, but you couldn't holler at the umpire in an exhibition
all
game.
very confusing about when you can distract and when you can't distract. We have arrived at nothing. Anyway, thank you, Max,
It's a
very much
pleasure,
for coming
Ray.
over and
It's
seeing
a
us
pleasure.
today.
See you, Leo.
All right,
Lots of
Max.
luck next
Thank you,
year.
boy.
Get your bat! And thanks a lot for being with us. We enjoyed having you, and we hope you will join us next week, same time, same station. So long.
You've been listening to another chapter of Double Play with baseball's most exciting couple, Laraine Day and Leo Durocher. Today, Laraine and Leo had as their guest Max Patkin, and here in our studios we had our special guest, Bob Hunter. Join us when again it's time for Double Play with Leo Durocher and Laraine Day, plus another big-time guest star. Double Play is produced by Marty Martin, directed by Ted Nealon, and is a Mar-Ted production.
VintageBaseballReflections.com features a treasure chest of baseball audio. The wonderful thing is the audio isn't a guy like me or a few talking heads reflecting on players, seasons, or teams. It is the actual players from that era, announcers from that era, giving you an uncut, unfiltered, unrecent day stance on what it was like then. These are real-time clips from that era. Now, we encourage you to check out our entire back catalog of baseball audio. And if you like old-time games, and folks, you are not alone. Join the membership section to enjoy interacting with fans, scoring games with folks just like you, and listening to hundreds of radio broadcasts that were baseball classics. As a special offer to you, type in This Day in Baseball for a discount just for you. And if you enjoyed the show, hit the plus sign to subscribe, follow us on the socials, and above all, share us with your friends who love baseball history just like